Please fill out your summary slide answering the question, what did we learn yesterday? Our learning target today says I can represent a linear equation in all forms. And our essential question says, how do you write an equation in standard form? So we've worked with standard form a little bit before in chapter 3. Standard form for a linear equation has the form ax plus by equals c, where x and y are variables in that order specifically, and they're both on the left side of the equation. So the x and y are the variables, and they're both on the left-hand side in that order. X is first. And then a is a whole number. So whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. B and C are integers, which means they could be whole numbers or they're opposites. So integers are like the numbers that you typically see on a number line. So some are positive, some are negative, and there's 0. So A has to be positive. B and C can be positive or negative, but they can't be fractions or decimals because they have to be integers or whole numbers. Okay, so standard form is our third form for a linear equation. We've already worked with point slope and slope intercept. And standard form is kind of tricky to work with, and I don't find it to be quite as useful as the other two, but it is always good to have multiple forms, okay? So understanding how to write each form is important, and how to transfer back and forth between them is extremely important. So we have to get our equation in this specific order. So we need x and y on the left-hand side of our equation. In order to get there, the first thing I'm going to do is tackle the parentheses by distributing. So if I distribute -5, I get -5x minus 15. Then what I like to do is ask myself, what terms are on the correct side? So this one is on the correct side, and our plain number over here is technically on the correct side. So then the other terms that are not on the correct side are the ones that I need to move. So to move them, I use my inverse operations. So I'm going to add 5x over here, and that cancels it out. I'm also, you might be okay with this, you might not, I'm also going to subtract the 7 that's on the wrong side, like this. So now my result is, I've got my 5x plus y, because it was a positive y, and then it equals -22. You could always do that rearranging in 2 separate steps, but if you highlight like I did, I feel like it's okay to visually do those 2 steps together. Okay, next one. Same thing. So we're trying to get the x and y. Move my plus sign over. Okay, so we need the x and y on the left-hand side and just a plain number on the right-hand side. So what is on the correct side? Well, I'm not going to even do that yet. Let's take care of our distributing first. If I distribute -2/3, I get -2/3 x plus -2/3 times 5 over 1, and it has a negative in front. So that would be +10/3. Okay, so you can use a fraction key on a calculator. That's totally fine if you want to. Now, on the correct side and on the correct side. Okay, so not on the correct side is my x again. I have to add that and add that over here because it has to be our first term. And then the other one that's not on the correct side is the 1. So now I have 2/3 x to start us out plus y equals 10/3 plus 1. Well, 1 is the same as 3/3. So if I add that to 10/3, I get 13/3. All right, now you might say, this looks good. We've got our terms in the correct order, which is true. But there's a problem here. A is supposed to be a whole number. B and C have to be integers, so they cannot be fractions. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to get rid of my fractions. So to do that, I need to take a look at what you see in the denominator, and I'm trying to get this to turn to a different color. It didn't work. And I'm going to multiply by that denominator, okay? So if I take this whole thing and multiply it all by the denominator of 3, what's going to happen is my 3 is going to cancel out here, leaving me with 2x. My 3 is going to end up multiplied by the y, so 3y equals, and then over here it's going to cancel my denominator again, leaving me with 13. So very tricky. Whatever your denominator is, that's what you have to multiply every term by to cancel out your fractions. All right, now this next one, I can multiply right away. There are no parentheses to distribute, so I can take this entire thing, and the denominator is 8, so I can multiply the whole thing by 8. So I will get 8y equals, and then my denominator cancels, leaving 7x minus 24. Make sure you're multiplying every single term, every single term. Now, on the correct side, on the correct side, so what I have to get rid of is the 7x. That means I have to subtract it. So now I have negative 7x plus 8y equals negative 24. And you might think this is perfect. It's close, but not quite, because this number right here has to be a whole number. It can't be negative. So if I want to change the sign on it, I can do that by multiplying the whole thing by negative 1. So it will change not only the sign on my 7, but the signs on everything else. So here is my standard form equation. All right, now we're going to put it all together here. We are going to write our equation in point slope, and then slope intercept, and standard form. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. We're going to start with point slope form. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And remember, for this one, the variables are the plane x and plane y. So here's my point, here's my slope. So I'm going to have y minus 4 from the ordered pair equals my slope, and then x minus x from the ordered pair, so that turns into a plus. Okay, so here's point slope. Now, if I distribute, I can solve this. So distribute the 4/7. And remember, 4/7 times 9, put a 1 under it, is 36/7. So right now, I'm trying to get it into slope-intercept form, my green one. So I need the y by itself, all alone, all alone. So to do that, all I have to do is add the 4. And you may or may not remember this, but you know, 4, when we're talking about sevenths, 4 is the same as 28 sevenths. So 28 sevenths, 28 divided by 7 is 4. The denominator had to be a 7. So that's how I figured it out. 4 times 7 is 28. Now if I add 28 and 36, 28 plus 36 is 64. So that is my answer for slope-intercept form. All right. Now, last but not least is standard form. So standard form, remember, is a picky, specific order, and we can't have any fractions. So I'm actually going to start with this slope-intercept, and I left this intercept as an improper fraction because I knew that I was going to have to clear the fractions. So remember the denominator number, to clear it, we have to multiply it by it. So multiply the whole thing, and really it's just 7y, and then these 7's can cancel. So we get 4x plus 64. Now it's just a little bit of rearranging. So this is for my standard form. So the ones that are in the correct spot are here and here. So I can leave those two alone. So I'm going to have to subtract 4x, subtract 4x. So now I have negative 4x plus 7y equals 64. And then we can't have a negative on the first number, so just multiply it all by -1. So it turns into a positive on the 4x, negative on the other two. So this is our standard form. So all three of these equations are representing the same line. So we just wrote it in 3 different forms. All right, last 2 slides are some word problems. Planet Fitness memberships. They cost $23.99 a month plus an annual fee. Michael was a member for 12 months and he paid $327.88. Write an equation in point slope form to find the total price P for any number of months M. So our ordered pairs are months for the independent variable and price depends on how many months. So this hint was really good. So if we use that along with what we know the monthly fee is, because that's the slope of your line, we can write our equation. So y minus 327.88 equals $23.99 for the monthly charge, and then x minus 12. Notice I used x and y. I didn't use the values, the letters that it told me to. It's okay if you do that. Either way, you're going to be fine. So now if I distribute to solve this, this one is just 23.99x, and the other one I'm going to use a calculator. So I've got 23.99 times 12. So that would be 287.88. And then I just have to add 327.88. Because we're trying to get this into slope-intercept form. So 23.99x. And then this would be 40. So what that means is the annual fee is $40. We've got our answer. Because the annual fee happens only one time.